This channel is proudly sponsored by Mal and Tal Enterprises. Please check out the link to their store and Patreon. They have a huge variety of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition compatible products, ranging from mythological fantasy to gothic steampunk. There is even a video game inspired bestiary. If you ever wanted to pit your player characters against a Pac-Man style of opponent, this is your chance. And the Weird Frontiers role-playing game, a dungeon crawl classic style Weird West tabletop RPG. Please check out the links also in the description and in the pinned comment. Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring the MechaTop Tabletop System. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review, featuring this tabletop game that allows you to field your gunpla and other mecha models in cooperative, solo and competitive play, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about the turn structure and the different modes of play. First, you have the instinct phase. In this preliminary phase, the players proceed to calculate the pass. The player whose team is composed of fewer units gets one pass for each unit less than the opponent's team. At the end of the turn, in the next instinct phase, the pass will be distributed again if necessary. In this section it says at the end of the game, so that's obviously a mistake, it's at the end of the turn. Each player then places 2 button tokens upside down to keep your opponent from guessing or understanding what your tactics are going to be, next to each of their units. Then we have initiative. When all players have completed the placement of the button tokens, they roll the dice to establish initiative. Each player rolls. The player with the highest result will take possession of the start token and decide whether to start first or force the opponent to do so. You also apply some bonuses to the initiative roll, depending on, for example, for each pass you have obtained or if the previous round has started with your opponent. Then we have unit activations. The player who won the initiative activates one of his team's units first, or can pass the hand to his opponent by playing a pass if he has one. The player who activates the unit can decide to use both button tokens, or use only one button token and keep the other one to use in the opponent's turn, or declare no action and keep both button tokens without actually activating the unit in this turn. In this case, place the act token next to the unit. Once the player has finished activating his unit, he will pass the hand to the opponent player. When it comes to the combat sequence and defense, it is as follows. The attacker rolls the die and hits the target, hopefully. Now the target can interrupt the attacker's turn and execute in sequence, dodge or counter attack. If he fails, he goes to point 2, which is use the inner energy or a skill if available. If not, go to point 3, which is block with the shield if available. Excess damage inflicted on a shield is transferred to the armor once the shield has been destroyed. If not, you go to 4, which is block with armor. If all these steps fail, go to 5. Otherwise, the attack has been blocked. In 5, your unit loses structure points equal to the damage of the weapon that hit it and suffers its effects. When it comes to the game modes, you have the typical competitive play, pretty straightforward and easy to understand, but you also have this solo and co-op mode. When you play in this mode, your opponent will be controlled by an automatic system. However, you'll have to plan your units yourself by throwing dice or drawing a card. There is an AI card deck that is available separately, but if you don't want that, you can play the solo mode or co-op mode perfectly with this rulebook alone, with the core system, because you have a system of tables here to randomly determine the tactics of the opponent. When choosing for your AI-controlled opponent, there are some things to keep in mind. First, the activation order. Proceed by activating the opposing units from the most damaged to the least damaged. In case of equal merit, proceed by activating the most advanced units. In case of equal merit, you decide the activation by rolling a die for each unit and activate them in order of result. When it comes to equipped weapons, favor the shield plus long-range weapons. That is, those weapons that do not require reloading, or long-range weapons which require reloading, held with 2 hands. Otherwise, favor the weapon with range on the right hand and the melee weapon on the left hand. When it comes to planning, you roll the die to determine the attitude for that opponent during that particular action. Perhaps the opponent is all about bringing down the enemy or charging. Or perhaps the opponent is a bit more on the defensive side or tries to flank the opposition. So you make your roll, and following certain conditions such as, for example, if the unit has the attack attitude and the opponent is in range, then if the weapon is loaded, double attack or carry out aimed attack at the nearest unit. But if your weapon is unloaded, that is the weapon for that particular AI controlled unit, reload plus attack at the nearest unit, or total reload. But what if the opponent is out of range? If the weapon is loaded, then carry out movement plus attack at the nearest unit or boost. But what if the weapon is unloaded? Then reload plus movement, or total reload. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part I am going to talk about the included scenarios, and I'm going to give you my final thoughts on this tabletop game. As you can see, the turn sequence and structure is incredibly simple. When it comes to the modes of play, the AI system is also very easy to understand. You have a series of circumstances that need to be approved depending on what is going on the battlefield. There is this condition, and if you do not meet that condition, that is, the weapon is unloaded, the enemy is out of range, etc., then you move to another condition, and so forth. And it's always random. When you roll the dice, or when you draw the card, if that's the way that you prefer to handle things, the opponent can carry out some unpredictable maneuvers, also based on the context and the mission that is being played. Thank you for watching this part of the review. Don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. This has been Abraham El Jaguar, a professional game master. If you want me to run a game for you, please check out the pinned comment below. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Once again, thank you and see you later.